right. Let's bring Paul Watson up with Webster briefly, and then with any new research points or data he has. Let's bring Paul Watson up via video connection from the United Kingdom and then go to a few phone calls. Paul, I think where Webster's going with this report last November about NATO and CIA infiltrating the police department in Oslo and recruiting former police, the drills. I mean, clearly this is an Operation Gladio kickstart. They've reignited this. It's very clear. And you've got the whole Israeli connection into this, attacking this Palestinian youth camp, similar to the Zionists that went to the Dome of the Rock, what, a decade ago and shot, you know, close to 100 people. We've got to look in that area, but then at the same time, and there's Kurt's article from a week and a half ago, will NATO resurrect Operation Gladio to frame Gaddafi? Well, no, it's to frame the right wing. Paul, what's your view on all this from your research?
Well, it seems that at the bare minimum, Alex, they knew about this guy. They'd tracked him before. Norwegian MI5 had massacre suspect on list, and it turns out that back in March he had been included in an intelligence database because he bought an amount of chemicals off a Polish individual on the internet, and so straight after that they put him in the database as a potential terrorist. And then, of course, we had the report from Channel 4 News, which came out on Friday, where before the police even confronted him, they knew his name. They shouted his name out as soon as they got to the island, even though it took them 90 minutes to get there. And as soon as they shouted his name out, he dropped his weapons and came quietly. So all this stuff about the incompetence of the Norwegian police doesn't quite jive with the fact that they knew his identity beforehand. They had him in this database for the past 7 months. And some new research, which is just now coming to the fore, is the fact that in 2006, obviously according to his manifesto, you know, he's been planning this for years, and his financial records actually appear on the internet as Norwegian citizens do for the past, well, the most recent year is 2009. And in 2006, he goes from basically having not even $100 in his bank account to 2007, where he's got 631,000 krona, which amounts to about $116,000 in his bank account. So, you know, how did he get that money? Who gave him that money? Where did he get it from? And from then on, he starts to spend the money. He starts to plan this operation. And we know that they had him in the database since at least March.
Well, he may just be a person who believes he's doing a good thing and is unstable, but a high-level functioning psychopath. I guess what you call a moral psychopath, if such a thing exists. The point is that then they handle him, they provocateur him like McVeigh to play a limited role, and then all their people are pulled out and protected following the classic paradigm that they perfected with these false flag patsy setups. And then now he's more than happy as an egomaniac to take all the credit and to say, don't worry, my other cells are about to attack. And indeed they are, because it's NATO running the Norwegian police with British intelligence clearly involved. He's in England getting his walking orders with a group of people that call themselves the Knights Templar. I know there's a group that does indeed meet and promote this. We even saw that in that Sky television show that demonized yours truly, Paul Watson.
Well, yeah, of course, we know somebody else who started obsessing and talking about the Knights Templar and the Freemasons, and that was, of course, Mr. Shaler, the former MI5 agent who suddenly started dressing like a woman and calling himself Jesus. And then you also have this individual in Norway, Breivik, who was tied into the English Defence League. He went and visited them in 2002. And the English Defence League basically is played off against militant Muslims in Britain routinely to foster this clash of civilizations. And it's a pathetic group made up of former drunk football hooligans, completely infiltrated by MI5, just as the neo-Nazis are also infiltrated by MI5.
Not infiltrated. It's come out in Germany and England that the Nazi groups are founded and run by the government.
But, I mean, this EDL is so pathetic that they splash it all over the newspapers every time they want to get us at each other's throats. So here's Breivik going to visit them in 2002. In 2007, he suddenly finds $116,000 in his account. He's later put on a terrorism database, and the police know his name before they even get to the island.
And now we're hearing that domestic groups all over the world, from England to the U.S. to the continent of Europe, have to be watched. If you're talking bad about globalism or open borders, you're bad now. I mean, this is perfect branding. And, Paul, did we not call it with the crescendo of white al-Qaeda leading up to this? I mean, what do you think about what Pachinik was saying earlier, that he thinks this is real?
Well, it could be real in the sense that this individual thought he was doing what he was doing for his own cause, which is outlined. But, I mean, that's exactly what Timothy McVeigh thought. But it turned out that he was a complete patsy, you know. There were more individuals involved in the plot. Then Nichols came out later and said, yeah, we were provocateur by the government. So we've got exactly the same indicators in this. And like you just said, this is Christian Science Monitor. Norway massacre likely to ramp up monitoring of right-wing groups. And it says, the sudden appearance of a murderous and crusading figure who sees himself as a martyr for Judeo-Christian European civilization is expected to ramp up surveillance by intelligence agencies of a far-right culture that has grown and flourished in the greenhouse of the internet.
Well, here's another one. Yeah, it's all the internet allowed him to be radicalized, so we've got to censor the web right as YouTube adds its report. This promotes terrorism link. Here it is. Killer personifies rise of the new right. Financial Times of London. Chris Matthews' TV show, demonizing myself and Ron Paul. Rise of the new right. So the left, the Muslims, they're all terrorists. Speak of the devil, there's Chris Matthews, race baiting, right there behind me. You don't like government health care, you're a racist. I mean, you can really see that this is engineered. And continuing here, Webster Tarpley, this is scary. I don't know if you're aware of it, but we completely predicted Thursday that a staged terror attack to be blamed on the right was imminent. Again, why would the social engineers want to do this?
Well, again, I would just say this character, Breivik, this is from central casting. In other words, this is some kind of a Nordic hero for people who want to take this stuff seriously. It is artificial, fake, hoaxed up from beginning to end. I don't see anything authentic in this person. You know, this could be an example of Clockwork Orange brainwashing. We just don't know what these capabilities are. The point of it is, at the level of the elites, it basically says, when the orders come down from the U.S. and the British, from NATO intelligence, you obey. Otherwise, you're going to have your office bombed, and you're going to have this camp. We have to figure that some of the children of high officials in the government were attending that camp. In other words, this could not be more political, focused on the policy.
It's a message. You do what we say, or your kids are dead.
Absolutely, and we know your schedule. We know where your children are. So it's completely political. In other words, it's got everything to do, and I don't think much at all to do with this internal stuff about the assimilation of Muslims and these issues. It's got to do with the foreign policy, a pro-Arab foreign policy in general, friendly to the Palestinians, but most immediately that the example of Norway is leading to the collapse of the NATO attack coalition on Libya, and that would be a debacle. You can see... But
it has the double goody, though, because the systems that run this country and Europe also do want to go after nationalists.
Yes, and that's a built-in thing. And when, for example, we find that this patsy, the psychotic patsy, writes about, should I use weapons of mass destruction, references like that can be used then by lobbyists.
And he dresses up in WMD outfits to help further the fear. All of it 100% scripted for maximum effect. And he admits, I'm not acting alone. I'm part of a knighthood. They just got this easily controlled person in there who thinks he's doing a great job. I'm sure, well, like McVeigh, they told him this is U.S. Army. We're going to do this to, fight the corruption in government, go carry out the attack. And then later he found out he was set up. They said, we'll kill your family if you don't go along with this. That's come out even in government documents. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know how. And I'm going to have him back up, maybe the two of you together. I mean, Pachinik comes out and says the bin Laden thing's fake. Clearly it is. 9/11's fake. He does a lot of things like that. And then and Pachinik, I need to get him back on because he never wants to talk about it. The London Telegraph and reportedly the event with the Red Brigades grabbing the Italian president. And Pachinik says he put out the report, according to the Telegraph, that they'd already killed him. So then they did kill him. I mean, I've got to get his views on this.
We just add one other thing. Based on what I've heard from his appearances on your program, he seems to be saying civilians are bad, military is good, and in the world of the military, General Petraeus is really, really good. Petraeus, obviously, a favorite presidential candidate of the neocons, in the wings, right, a stealth candidate, uniting the Pentagon now and the CIA. That would be Bonapartism with a vengeance. In other words, a man on horseback, not mucking around in the primaries and not caring about the Iowa straw poll, but riding in on a horse in an atmosphere of breakdown and chaos as we now seem to have it. I think that is probably the most dangerous alternative for the United States. I don't want to hear people talking about Petraeus for president or Petraeus is the man we can trust. I don't want
to get into a Pachinik bashing festival. What we'll do is, how about I invite him to come on and give his political views, and in the second half, come in and have you ask questions if he'll do it.
Well, I guess if you want to try it, sure, why not?
I think it'd be a nice debate. Yeah, but why would you have a neocon come out? I don't think he's a neocon, far from it, and talk about 9/11 being an inside job 9.5 years ago. It's not like, he just did this.
No, I'm simply saying that Petraeus, people haven't maybe noticed it, but Petraeus is the gathering point of most neocons, although some of them are looking elsewhere.
All right, let me do this, Webster. I promise, but I got to go on RT at 3, so we got to get out of here soon so we can set up the video Skype. I promise to go to callers, so we're just going to do part of the next segment and finish with these callers. Watson, we got a minute before we go to break, and we're going to come back and take 4 or 5 calls with Tarpley and you here. Just very quick questions or comments, but any other little caveats or tidbits as we go out to break?
Well, it's the fact that he went and targeted predominantly young white Norwegians, I don't think that's something that can explain with these convoluted mental gymnastics. Why didn't he just go and blow up a mosque? There's one in the centre of Oslo. If he's an anti-Muslim extremist, why kill young white people? Just doesn't make sense to me.
If I may also add, he's a composite figure, as I understand. He's Breivik, but he's got a blog apparently under the name Fjord Man. Some people think that's him, and he's known as Andrew Berwick when he puts his screed up on the internet. So, a composite figure.
Well, he fits every one of the MOs. My gut tells me it's never wrong. This is as phony as a $3 bill. We'll be right back. Stay with us.